Hello, and thank you for joining me once again for the latest installment of The Vault. My name is Julia Fry, and I'm the curator at Stan Hywet Hall and Gardens. This week we're going to talk about Cedar Lodge, the Seiberlings summer home outside of Hessel, Michigan. So very often they could be found up at Cedar Lodge. They actually owned a small island just off the coast of Hessel and would often go up there starting usually as early as 4th of July weekend through Labor Day. As many of you that have lived in Akron or Northeast Ohio know, it gets very hot and humid here in July and August, and the Seiberlings would have felt that heat just as we do today, but of course no air conditioning back in the early decades of the 20th century. And traveling up to Hessel, which they usually did by train, car, and even boat to get there. It was quite an arduous journey, but the temperature would often be 15, sometimes even 20 degrees lower, with lovely cool breezes coming off the Great Lake. They originally purchased land around 1900 and then built a series of buildings on the island, and these were very rustic. They were birch log cabins, very rustic on the inside, no electricity at all. They did have indoor plumbing though. But when they went, you could only use candlelight. The idea was to be outside. There were a lot of recreational amenities at Cedar Lodge. They had a croquet court, they had a tennis court, lots of trails for walking, and of course the kids could swim in the lake. They owned a series of boats during the time that they were there, those many decades they were there. And it was such a special place for the family. Many of the grandchildren recall very fondly the summers that they spent up at Cedar Lodge. And F.A. himself considered it a really special place that was very meaningful to him. And he wrote very early on, this is to Gertrude in 1903, "If I ever had an idea of parting with Cedar Lodge at some time, it disappeared this past week. I've made up my mind that fortune may ebb and flow as it will. We will hang on to that place for the comfort it will give us in summer times, away from the grinding world of care. It grows more inviting to me every day, and I long for the time when I could spend the whole summer with you." So even F.A., it had a magic for him, a place that he wanted to spend as much time as possible. It was where he retreated after stepping down from Goodyear. It was always kind of a place where the family could turn for repasts and to recharge their batteries, get away from Akron. Many of their other family members also had cabins up in that area. It became a vacation home for a lot of Akronites. At one time, F.A. commented there were about 50 Akron families had homes in and around Hessel, so it became a popular destination for a lot of Akron families. The Seiberlings owned Cedar Lodge until the early 1950s. At that point, it was sold and left the family, but about 10 years later, in the early 1960s, Willard Seiberling had an opportunity to buy Cedar Lodge back, which he did, and it remains in the Seiberling family to this day. It has descended through the Willard Seiberling family. So thank you for joining me once again for the latest installment of The Vault. I look forward to sharing more with you again soon.